In a league defined by precision passing and clockwork timing, there's one wild card that can turn any game on its head: the quarterback scramble. Whether it's a nifty sidestep or a full-blown sprint through an entire defense, a QB who can improvise on the run brings an element of chaos that's both thrilling and terrifying. Today, we're counting down the top 20 quarterback scrambles that left fans awestruck and defenders shaking their heads. Each entry not only racked up yardage, but redefined how we view the most crucial position in football, because once these QBs break the pocket, there's no telling what might happen next. 20. Tyrod Taylor's Sideline Houdiniac, 2017 versus Raiders. We kick things off with a moment you might have missed if you blinked. Tyrod Taylor, often overshadowed by bigger names, put on a sideline magic show against the Raiders. Facing immediate pressure, he spun out of a collapsing pocket and literally tiptoed the chalk, somehow staying inbounds. One defender lunged for him, barely catching a piece of his jersey, but Taylor yanked free, picking up a critical first down. The crowd's reaction said it all. How did he stay upright and avoid stepping out? That improbable combination of balance and poise sets the tone for the 19 more spectacular escapes to come. 19. Marcus Mariota's Sprint vs. Jaguars, 2018. Next up, Marcus Mariota reminds us he's got jets. It was a divisional showdown with the Jaguars, a team known for an aggressive pass rush. The pocket crashed in around him. Rather than panic, Mariota darted to the left, found daylight, and turned on the afterburners. Watching him gliding past linebackers felt like seeing a track star in shoulder pads. This wasn't just a 5-yard scramble to avoid a sack. It was a 20-plus yard dash that moved the chains and deflated Jacksonville's momentum. Sometimes pure speed makes all the difference. 18. Patrick Mahomes' Limping Scramble, 2019. By now, most fans know Patrick Mahomes for his rocket arm and off-platform throws. But in 2019, he proved that even on a bad ankle, he could still make defenders miss. Hobbled and clearly in pain, Mahomes took off anyway when a pass play broke down. Dodging multiple rushers and limping for extra yardage, he fell forward past the first down marker, then popped back up, grimacing but determined. It wasn't a highlight in the sense of top-end speed or massive yardage, but it showcased his resilience and ability to improvise when everything else goes wrong. 17. Tony Romo's Spinorama vs. Rams. Tony Romo might be synonymous with last-minute heroics and heartaches, but nobody can deny he had a knack for slipping away from certain doom. Then, with the presence of mind to keep scanning downfield, he realized the coverage had dropped deep. So he tucked the ball and scrambled for the first down. It was one of those "how did he not get sacked" moments that Romo made a habit of. 16. Taysom Hill's Bulldozer Run, 2020. Quarterbacks are traditionally the smallest guys on the field compared to linemen, or at least not the ones dishing out punishing hits. Yet Taysom Hill shattered that stereotype in 2020 when he lined up under center, took the snap, and saw a gap. Instead of sliding or stepping out, he lowered his shoulder and ran over a would-be tackler, like a freight train flattening a traffic cone. Fans watching at home had to do a double take. Wait, that's the QB? This was a scramble that felt more like a fullback dive, leaving defenders and fans alike thinking, is there anything Taysom Hill can't do? 15. Deshaun Watson's 360 spin in the 2019 playoffs versus Bills. Playoff games can elevate good players to legendary status, and Deshaun Watson seized that moment against the Bills. With the score tied in overtime and pass rushers swarming, Watson looked sacked for sure, until he spun out of the blitz like a figure skater avoiding traffic on the ice. Free at last, he scrambled forward, picking up massive yardage and positioning his team for the walk-off field goal. The sideline erupted, and the stadium roared in disbelief. People still point to that spin move as the unstoppable moment that sealed the Bills' fate. 14. Steve Young's Scramble vs. Vikings, 1988. Long before he was the Hall of Fame quarterback everyone remembers, Steve Young was fighting for respect behind Joe Montana. In a regular season clash against the Vikings, Young took off from the pocket and displayed the kind of agility you rarely saw in the late 80s. He sidestepped one lineman, stiff-armed another, and dashed 40-plus yards downfield. Critics who doubted his mobility watched in stunned silence. It was a run that foreshadowed what a fully unleashed Steve Young could accomplish once he had the starting job all to himself. 13. Michael Vick's Overtime Winner vs. Vikings, 2002. You can't talk about scrambling QBs without mentioning Michael Vick, and you definitely can't leave out the run that ended an overtime game against Minnesota in 2002. It started as a simple drop back, turned into a scramble left, and ended with two defenders colliding into each other while Vick ghosted between them. Once he hit the open field, there was no catching him. Touchdown. Game over. For many fans, this was the moment they realized they were witnessing a once-in-a-generation athletic talent at quarterback. 12. Russell Wilson's pirouette escape versus Cardinals. 2015. If you ever need an example of Russell Wilson's slipperiness, look no further than this primetime meeting with the Cardinals. The snap came, pressure arrived in the blink of an eye, and Wilson basically performed a ballet pirouette to elude the first wave. Next, he backpedaled, spun again, and found a lane along the sideline. By the time the dust settled, he had gained a chunk of yards and left Arizona defenders looking at each other, wondering how in the world they didn't bring him down. It was classic Russell. Improvisational brilliance at its finest. 11. Randall Cunningham's ultimate weapon run. Early 1990s. Called the ultimate weapon. By sports analysts of his era, Randall Cunningham was the pioneer for many of today's dual-threat quarterbacks. In this memorable run, the pass rush came in hot, but Cunningham slipped between two defensive linemen like water through a sieve. Then, in a display of stride length and top-end speed, he left multiple defenders in his wake en route to a huge gain. At a time when pocket passers dominated, Cunningham's flair for scrambling broke the mold and inspired an entire generation. 10. Cam Newton's MVP-era scramble versus Giants. 2015. In 2015, Cam Newton was an unstoppable force, and he flashed that power against the Giants. The pocket caved in, but Cam shrugged off the first defender as if swatting away a fly. Spotting daylight on the left side, he raced past the line of scrimmage, stiff-armed a cornerback, then spun off a linebacker for extra yardage. The run ended with Newton roaring in celebration and the defense left battered. On a team that went 15-1 in the regular season, this scramble epitomized the unstoppable confidence Cam was playing with all year long. 9. Aaron Rodgers' miracle run versus Bears. 2018. Aaron Rodgers has a knack for performing heroics against the Chicago Bears, and this scramble is no exception. Nursing a knee injury, Rodgers looked compromised until everything broke down in the backfield. Instead of throwing it away, he limped forward, outmaneuvering a defensive end and outrunning a linebacker to the sticks. This run helped seal a comeback, proving that even on one leg, Rodgers could still rip the Bears' hearts out. 8. Donovan McNabb's 14-second scramble versus Cowboys. 2004. McNabb had plenty of memorable moments in Philly, but few matched the sheer audacity of this 14-second scramble. It was a play that looked doomed from the start. Dallas had pressure coming from every angle. Yet McNabb kept retreating, backpedaling, pivoting, and ducking. Count the seconds. 5, 10, still no sack. Defenders gasping for breath. When he finally crossed the line of scrimmage, or sometimes launched a pass, it turned into a massive gain. Eagles fans erupted, and the Cowboys sideline just watched in disbelief, powerless to do anything but chase him in circles. 7. John Elway's helicopter run. Super Bowl 32. Few images in NFL history are as iconic as John Elway spinning midair like a helicopter in the biggest game of his life. On a crucial third down near the goal line, Elway took off running, lunged for the first, and got hit so hard he literally spun around horizontally. Did he give up the ball? Did he get the yardage? Yes. That gritty run encapsulated the desperation of a 37-year-old quarterback who never won a ring. It inspired his teammates and paved the way for the Broncos to upset the heavily favored Packers. 6. Lamar Jackson's 47-yard spin move touchdown versus Bengals. 2019. Lamar Jackson's highlight reels could fill this entire list, but one scramble stands out for its pure elegance and flair. The 47-yard spin move. Breaking contain, Jackson looked like a track star until one Bengals defender came within arm's reach. That's when Lamar unleashed a spin so silky smooth the DB nearly stumbled into his teammate. Jackson then raced untouched into the end zone. The replay went viral instantly, and critics who called him just a running back had to rethink their stance. It was a mesmerizing, game-breaking run that signaled the arrival of a new kind of QB. 5. Josh Allen's leap over Anthony Barr. 2018. When your quarterback is built like a tight end, you expect him to fight for extra yards. But hurdling a 6'5" linebacker, that's next level. Early in his career, Josh Allen was desperate to prove he belonged. On this particular scramble, he saw Anthony Barr closing in. Rather than slide, Allen took flight, literally, clearing Barr's shoulders and landing upright for a few more yards. Social media exploded, and so did the mythos of Josh Allen as a fearless physical runner. For Bills fans, it was a sign of the bold, never-say-die attitude that would define their franchise QB. 4. Kyler Murray's 20-yard pinball run, 2021. Shorter quarterbacks often hear doubts about visibility and durability. Kyler Murray silenced a few doubters when he turned a broken play into a highlight reel. The pass rush closed in, forcing him to reverse course. Then he cut right, avoided two defenders diving at his ankles, spun away from another, and squeaked between two would-be tacklers for a 20-yard scramble. The press box described it as watching a pinball bounce around but with precision. Once he found open grass, that 4.3 speed took over, and defenders simply had no angle to stop him. Yep, Steve? 3. Justin Fields' 61-yard touchdown versus Dolphins, 2022. Few quarterbacks have faced as many early career doubts as Justin Fields. Yet in one electrifying run, he reminded everyone why he was a first-round pick. Under intense pressure, Fields rolled out, spotted a gap, and took off like a sprinter out of the blocks. He squeezed past the sideline, somehow maintaining balance, then cut back inside and left defenders converging behind him. The crowd erupted as Fields trotted into the end zone, capping a run that instantly made every highlight reel. If you needed a reason to believe in his potential, you got it right there. 2. Patrick Mahomes' 27-yard scramble in the 2019 playoffs. We return to Mahomes, but this time the stakes are even higher. Facing the Titans in the AFC Championship, Mahomes dropped back, looking for a receiver. The coverage locked everything up, so he took off. He spun past one defender, stiff-armed another, then tight-roped the sideline like a seasoned wideout. As if that weren't enough, he dragged multiple defenders with him into the end zone. In a postseason where he was already lighting up the skies with touchdown passes, this scramble proved he could beat teams in multiple ways, especially with a trip to the Super Bowl on the line. Number 1, Michael Vick's 2006 Madden Come to Life run versus Giants. Here it is, the pinnacle of QB scrambles. Michael Vick once again, but a different run than the OT winner. The Giants' defense swarmed the pocket, forcing Vick to improvise. He slipped through the line as if playing in fast forward, then angled toward the sideline. Defensive backs had the angle, until they didn't. Vick kicked it into high gear, leaving them in the dust. It looked like something out of a video game glitch. No one should be that fast in real life. But Vick was. He outran a speedy corner on a diagonal pursuit, leaving the stadium in a stunned hush, punctuated by roars of disbelief. For many, this run embodies the term video game numbers. Except it happened on a real NFL field, reminding everyone that Vick's top gear was unlike anything we'd ever seen. And there you have it, a countdown of the 20 quarterback scrambles that still leave fans in awe. From Randall Cunningham's trailblazing runs to Josh Allen literally hurdling linebackers, these moments showcase the evolution of the dual-threat quarterback. Each scramble told its own story of desperation, creativity, and sheer athletic genius. Some were iconic playoff plays. Others were mind-bending feats in the regular season that still echo in highlight reels.